I know Wilkie loves QB wins, and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, huge fan. Yeah.
He definitely leads the league in DORP, dog over replacement level.
Yeah, love that.
Last 8 drives of the game went punt, 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 fumble, punt, fumble, punt, punt. That's not how you draw it up.
The Chargers are in a horrible place. What do you mean? This is the National Football League. There can't be better trainers in any other sport than football. I'm watching Austin Deculus give up 3 sacks the last 2 games and 11 pressures. The guy's a walking turnstile.
The Raiders are an absolute joke. Man, I don't even know what to say anymore.
A defeated man.
AFC West portion of our podcast is
you guys are
really
both
struggling.
in dark places right now.
They're about to be 1-5 if Lamar doesn't play this week, so I'm not sure it's going to happen.
That's actually crazy.
Still favorites to win the division.
Which is
That's
crazy.
also crazy.
I know nothing. And he's like, you're fired. And I was like, that totally makes sense.
Respect.
We got to get a new coach in here, and like that is not it, man.
Handsome as ever. But that's not going to help you in this particular endeavor.
Hello, Shark.
Thanks for coming in.
You look incredibly handsome today. I don't know if I.
Okay, it is going to help you. Laughing will get you everywhere, baby.
You got me a little flustered. I didn't. You're
gotta
letting
get
everybody
prepared
else
when you're
go,
dealing with the
and you're throwing
Sharks,
me off in
baby.
the middle. Okay, you're still very handsome. Todd Bowles won a Super Bowl as a head coach, a player, and he was a player, a personnel guy for the
He was
Packers.
assistant to the traveling secretary.
I knew what your team is, and those 3 Super Bowl rings, I was like, he better not fall for this.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to No Timeouts, a football show presented by Kal Tire, Canada's destination for Nokian tires. We're coming at you from the Score Studio. My name is Jonah Birenbaum. That is Tyler MacKillop. That is Dan Wilkins. That is Zak McDonald. You know them. You love them. And if you love upsets, gentlemen, if you love juggernauts losing, Week 5 was the week for you. The Eagles lost for the first time this season. The Bills lost for the first time this season. The Ravens, albeit without Lamar Jackson, lost a 3rd straight game to fall to 1-4 on the season. And the Chiefs fell to 2-3 with a loss to Jacksonville on Monday night, keyed by what was arguably one of the more graceful scramble touchdowns from a quarterback we've ever seen. The mighty have indeed fallen, or at least stumbled, but that wasn't all that went down in Week 5. Lots of other noteworthy stuff happened. Wilk, what stood out to you from this past week?
Man, we got to talk about the Bucs. Jonah's Bucs.
Let's go,
This
baby.
team just always finds a way, doesn't it? And normally I'd be looking at a situation like this and saying, all right, not only is this your classic example of a team running into some really unsustainable luck in 1-score games, but the Bucs have quite literally pulled out all of their wins at the very end of their 4 victories on the season. If you're looking for a team that, is maybe the top candidate league-wide for a team that's not quite as good as their record shows, I think it's probably the Bucs right now. But at the same time, I kind of can't help myself. I feel like I'm buying into the magic here. Look, the offense, of course, they would like to win games a little differently than they have so far. They'd like to maybe mix in a convincing win every now and then. But, man, when you hang 38 points on the Seahawks without Bucky Irving, without Mike Evans, I don't really know who's going to stop this team when the offense fully gets healthy. I think those wins are going to come in time. And T, you've been talking about over the past few weeks, the defense has been making some strides in the right direction. I think Hassan Reddick has been a nice addition to the pass rush. Jacob Parrish has been that instant impact rookie that they need on the back end. I just think that this team, when they get back to full strength, has all the talent they need to be a contender. And although it may seem fluky right now, I think it only bodes well that they have this innate ability led by their absolute gamer of a quarterback to pull out these wins when it matters most at the end of the game. So I'm buying in on this team.
Baker Mayfield needs to be in the MVP discussion. He needs to be at the top of the MVP discussion, in my opinion. He is the only quarterback last week, he was the only quarterback to have 375 pass yards and fewer than 5 incompletions in a regular season game. He's got 10 TDs, 1 interception on the year. His team has won, the only team in NFL history to win 4 of their first 5 games when trailing or being tied in the final minute of the game. Just absolutely ridiculous. I know Wilkie loves QB wins, and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, huge fan. Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield is leading his team to wins. And sometimes you can just tell that it's the quarterback that is leading the train. And Todd Bowles is a pretty soft-spoken guy. Baker Mayfield is leading this train. He was out there, Seahawk fan, trashing him for the game. I don't know if you saw this. Seahawk fan trashing him for the game. At the end of the game, he found the same Seahawks fan and just tell him to hold that L. He is the MVP so far.
He is absolutely at the top of the Aura rankings, that's for sure. Look, he may not be at the top of my MVP list, but I can't deny that what he's done so far is exactly the type of thing that wins you an MVP in this league.
He definitely leads the league in DORP, dog over replacement level.
Yeah, love that.
And 5 weeks into the season, he
You
has
trademark
as
that?
many. I think I should.
Okay.
5 weeks into the season, he has as many fourth quarter comebacks as Patrick Mahomes did last year, -1. So that's pretty darn impressive. You were going to say, T.
No, I think you nailed it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Was that
You were going to say dog over
Yeah,
replacement?
that was the acronym I had in mind. But I think we need to start considering a lot of other options for MVP, whether it's a Puka Nacua or a Jonathan Taylor or a Baker Mayfield. Like this year feels very
Devin
wide
Lloyd.
open. Devin
Yeah,
Lloyd.
it's astounding that last year he threw 40+ touchdowns, and he's playing even at a higher level this year. It's really crazy. T, what stood out to you this past week?
Obviously, the Patriots win over the Bills was very, very impressive. But I'm not running to crown the Patriots as a team back in maybe playoff contention because of the schedule. You could argue, but I don't think they're a playoff caliber team. But first of all, I want to give a ton of credit to Drake May because he looked incredible in this game in terms of just being able to make plays off script and making plays on the run, especially that 30-40 yard downfield pass to Stephon Diggs, who's kind of looking back. Like
If you see the coach's angle film of that, like the trajectory of the ball
incredible
is
throw.
incredible.
The Diggs also looks a lot better in terms of just mobility and being able to just as from a pure athlete standpoint and being able to make some plays for them, which is huge for May to have a number one option because this still is the worst run game in the NFL EPA wise through the start of the season. The defensive line is, they're not generating a lot of pressure. I think they're 28th in the league in pressure rate, like 18th in the league in sack rate. So I still think there's some struggles running the football, some struggles rushing the passer. The foundation here is good. Vrabel always gets more out of his teams. We talked about some of the decision making when it comes to fourth downs and whatnot, and being a little conservative. But he's consistently made teams that don't have quite the talent you expect play a lot better than you would think they do. Run defense is always a great trait of Vrabel defenses too. This team is close. I think they're still missing pieces roster-wise, but I mean, Drake May is looking to be, he's playing like no doubt top 10 quarterback in the league right now.
So I appreciate you're not yet ready to crown the Patriots. Does this loss change how you feel about the Bills at all?
They were I didn't even mention how sloppy they were. I know that the Patriots are getting a lot of credit for how they held James Cook in check. How many times did you guys watch James Cook? I'm not going to say rip off, but a 6, 7, 8 yard run on first down that gets called back for holding or an illegal formation. I think the Bills were just incredibly sloppy in this game offensively, penalty-wise. Obviously, the turnovers, too, the couple of fumbles, the interception. I think a lot went the Patriots' way. But again, you go win a game on the road in Buffalo. It seems like the Bills always give us one of these really strange performances at least once or twice a year. I wouldn't be too concerned quite yet. They're only going to get healthier, too, which should help. But, yeah, I think this doesn't change much. I still think the Bills are going to be the number one team in the AFC by the end of the season.
3 turnovers, though. They had 1 over their previous 4 games combined. So definitely noteworthy. Zach, what stood out to you?
You know what stood out to me? The Cardinals having one of the most epic collapses I've ever seen in an NFL game.
Woof.
They lose to, first of all, the Titans. The Titans are so bad. They barely feel like a football team. Like, Brian Callahan is the most out of his depths head coach that I've seen in a very long time. They had a 21-6 fourth quarter lead, and Amari DeMercado is literally inches away from giving them the 28-6 lead or whatever. He fumbles the ball on the goal line, which, I mean, this needs to stop, and it needs to stop right now. I don't know what you have to do.
Impressive to do the next week after someone else did it,
Yeah.
and in a way that was way less intentional than I know. Neither one of them are intentional, but like at least for Mitchell, it was like a accidental swapping of hands fumble. DeMarcado just drops the ball. It's like there's no way as a coach you don't show them that film during the week of like, hey guys, I know this is a thing that eventually someone does every season, but here it is. Make sure you see it. Let's never make that
Can't
mistake.
happen.
Isn't that the cycle though? Like it happens,
Yeah, it's
and
gonna
then it like
happen.
doesn't happen for like 10 more weeks because everybody forgets about it.
That's what makes it so bad for
And
the Cardinals.
it's also just like, does it look that cool? Like, does it look that cool?
No one
to
thinks
carry
about it.
the ball, like to drop it so close
Yeah.
to the end zone.
No.
It does not look that cool. So we had that, and then we also have the Cam Ward throws a terrible interception, and they fumble the interception. They kick the ball for the Titans into the end zone, and the Titans score a touchdown on that play, which is basically one of the only ways the Titans can score a touchdown. We have that play. There was also the Kyler Murray takes the snap. It hits him directly in the middle of his face where his eyeballs are, Jonah. That's where he looks. He should have been able to see that.
You would think so.
And then he does the Cam Newton, just like stares at the ball in front of him. It gets recovered, and they end up losing to the Titans on a last-second field goal. And that was one of the worst performances we've seen in a very long time.
So beginning with 8:29 left in the second, the Cardinals' last 8 drives of the game went punt, 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 fumble, punt, fumble, punt, punt. That's not how you draw it up. That's not how you draw it up. Truly a historic collapse. Wilk, what do you got?
All right, man. This is the only time I'm going to do this year, so please just enjoy. The Raiders are an absolute joke. And listen, I'm a Raiders fan. I grew up with this. And hand up, somehow, despite 20 years of evidence pointing to the contrary, I allowed myself to believe that this year they would start to get it together. I wasn't predicting any sort of like playoff run or anything, but I thought that this new regime coming in would at least have them trending in that direction. Man, I don't even know what to say anymore.
A defeated man.
Look, I think in many ways, and we talked about this in the preseason, I think the logic was there. I mean, a big addition at head coach, Pete Carroll, obviously has the resume. I think Geno Smith seemed like a monumental upgrade at quarterback. And then it was really easy to get excited about the possibilities with a guy like Chip Kelly drawing up plays for guys like Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers. As it turns out, nothing ever changes, at least with this team. Pete Carroll talking a big game about competing right away looks absolutely ridiculous after they got thoroughly embarrassed by the Colts. Geno Smith's game has just fallen off a cliff out of nowhere. I know there's probably going to be a little bit of revisionist history about the player that he was in Seattle. I don't think that's fair at all. He's just not good out of nowhere, and I don't have an explanation for it. And then Chip Kelly just has done absolutely nothing to earn his status as the highest paid coordinator in the entire league. I mean,
Shocking.
He just looks like the latest college coach to come up and realize that his concepts do not have the same juice at the NFL level.
Which famously happened to Chip Kelly like 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I totally understand and appreciate the fact that Pete Carroll has a reputation and a track record for building programs wherever he goes, and that may happen in time here, but I think he's realizing that it's going to take a lot longer than he was expecting. And at 74 years old, it's fair to wonder how long he's going to be willing to see this through. And if this team is just hitting the reset button again after 2 or 3 years, what exactly have we done here? So, I mean, I don't get it, man. Nothing ever changes, and it is absolutely exhausting. I've had enough of it.
I think that's the toughest part is the fact that Pete thought there was something here with this roster.
And he does kind of like have a thing for making you believe, right?
Yeah. And it makes it feel really weird that you traded for Geno, because it's not like, oh, the worst part is for you, Dan, is that like nothing's going to there's no backup quarterback.
There's no light of
nothing's changing. Like Bowers is obviously probably smart for him to sit and get healthy again, but then we drafted the running back with the top 10 pick, who's really, really good. Like, don't get me wrong, Ashton Genty's really, really good, but you're also thinking like, maybe that asset could have been better served elsewhere. So it's
I mean,
Dan,
at this point, they're a trade deadline seller.
Yeah.
Can't say I'm bummed out though. Don't like the Raiders.
Dan, can you give me a quick power rankings of these 3 teams on the pain scale? I want to know the pain power rankings. Jets, Browns, Raiders. What's your 3 there?
Look, man, I've long held that as
and
painful
we'll do
as
last 20
it
years,
is
last
for
20
like,
years, last 20 years. As painful as it is.
As painful as it is for those other teams, I mean, like, I feel like with the Raiders, you constantly go through these like spells where they like make you believe for a second, and it's like,
yeah, like
the Jets had
it's
Aaron
the
Rodgers.
Raiders.
Like maybe Derek Carr's kind of good, or
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased here, but I feel like the Raiders are like the most tortured fan base in the league. It never ends.
Raiders at 1.
The Raiders are a clear 3 in that. Remember when you almost beat the Bengals who lost in the Super Bowl?
It's always almost.
Yeah.
It's always almost.
That's Vegas, baby.
Almost can be more painful sometimes. Almost can hurt a little bit more. The Browns, it's never almost. It's like, no, you just suck.
Yeah.
In Vegas, you pull a 19, you're feeling good. Almost.
Yeah.
Dealer
I
has
would
a
much
20.
rather be a Browns
Dealer
fan
has a
right
20.
now than a Raiders fan right now.
Fair.
Oh,
Fair.
absolutely,
This
absolutely.
exercising masochism needs to end.
Why don't we talk about why it'd be great to be a
Go
Browns
off,
fan
go
right now?
off.
It's Quinshaw Judkins. I think
go.
that throughout the rest of the season, Judkins, I was looking at the odds board. I'm like, why isn't Judkins the number 2 2 guy to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously, Emeka Egbuka is just off the charts incredible right now. That team will get healthier. I think his role is still going to be as the clear number 2. Potentially, maybe he is the number 1. But I think Quinshon Judkins, by the end of the year, will be right in the conversation to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, because since he missed week 1, but since he's taken over, they've given him the job immediately, and he's been fantastic. This team over the last 3 seasons was averaging 3.8 yards per carry. Every running back on that team, 3.8 yards per carry combined. Judkins is averaging 4.8 yards per carry in just these first 4 games. And I know we don't think of the Ravens as this like elite defense right now, but historically they've been one of the best run defenses in the league over the last 5 to 10 years. So that's a defense he's put it on. The Packers are another who have been a really good run defense this season. They've had 2 other matchups. I'm forgetting. The Lions are historic, or for the last 4 or 5 years have always been a great run defense. And I'm missing the Vikings obviously this week, who have struggled a little bit, but over the last couple of years have always been a great run defense. He's also got 8 rushes of 10 plus yards. That's 9th at the position. He missed week 1. The team last year had a total of 23 from all of their running backs. So Judkins is going to significantly outpace that as well, averaging 4.15 yards after contact per attempt. That's 8th in the league as well. He's a dynamic rusher, and he's obviously involved in the receiving game. He's going to carry this offense the rest of the season. Like, if this team has any chance of staying in games, it completely comes down to Quinshon Judkins, and he is looking the part right now as the best rookie running back in the league. I still think Genty is the best talent-wise, but numbers-wise, Judkins will probably finish the season as the number 1 rookie running back for sure.
This is the best rookie class in the league. I think we talked about it last week. It's incredible what they're doing. Like, the foundation that they're laying, and I was just begging ownership last week to just stay the course with the staff that they have in place now, because now that they don't have to adjust everything they're doing to Deshaun Watson, you can kind of see the vision for what things can be under Kevin Stefanski. I mean, we saw it before Deshaun Watson, and everything just went out the window after they made that trade. But man, like they're quickly headed in the right direction. At the end of the year, it may only be 3-4 wins. But they've got those 2 first-round picks. They're going to get a quarterback at the top of next year's draft. I don't think Dylan Gabriel is the answer quarterback. I think he'll be a good backup long-term for them. But yeah, I'm really excited about the Browns moving forward, and Judkins is a big reason why.
Yeah, Judkins,
Dylan Gabriel and Carson Wentz standing next to each other. Shocking photo.
Yeah. That was a game that all came down to really watching Quinshon Judkins play in the morning. But I think he's like plus 1,400 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year right now. I don't know who you'd rather have. I wouldn't rather have Genty. I wouldn't rather have Ted McMillan. I wouldn't rather have, who am I missing? Obviously, Hampton's on IR now.
Yeah.
There's a long list of guys in front, at least 4 or 5 guys in front of him, and I don't know why.
His efficiency is particularly impressive considering he faces 8 defenders on the box on a higher percentage of his attempts than any other running back in the NFL. He's also 3rd in the league in rush yards over expected. He only has 2 fewer rushing yards total than Ashton Genty, and he's played 1 fewer game. Yeah. It's unbelievable that he's been doing this, especially considering there's no passing game there, right? So it's just him.
He had 2 massive runs called back in the morning too. Yeah. Didn't he have wasn't it a 70-yard touchdown run called back too, or 65-yard touchdown run? The numbers could have been even better on Sunday morning.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. Zach, what do you got?
From watching football this weekend, it was making me think, or I guess from Thursday as well, if you count that. But Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in the NFL. And I think because he gives his team a particular advantage that other coaches don't have, in the fact that it does not matter who is on the field for him on offense. Let's look at this list. We had Brock Purdy last week, out. Ricky Pearsall, out. Brandon Ayuk, out. Jawan Jennings, out. George Kittle, out. Nick Bosa, out. And what do? They beat a legit Super Bowl contender in the Los Angeles Rams with maybe the other guy that you could argue is the best head coach in the league across the way. We had Kendrick Bourne. He had 10 catches for 142 yards. Jonah, do you want to know when his last 100-yard game was?
I don't think he has one in his career.
From my research, he has one in 2022. He has a 100-yard game in 2022. Yeah. His opponents are even the defense, like, he is able to identify exactly who to lead his defense at all times. DeMeco Ryans obviously is a great guy. Robert Saleh gets ousted by the Jets, and he brings Robert Saleh back.
Such a great move.
Saleh he's such an incredible defensive coordinator. You look at what D. Winters is doing this year, a guy they drafted in the 6th round. They lose Dre Greenlaw, a big piece. Everybody's super worried. D. Winters slots in and is like, arguably like as good, like could end up being better than what they got from Dre Greenlaw. Their opponents are 6th in points per game, 10th in yards per game. he does everything in such a way. And then obviously we don't have to talk about Mac Jones. Like Mac Jones was literally a punchline in the NFL for years and years and years, and he's looked absolutely awesome. And when he's played under the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan creates such a massive advantage. I would love to know who is the better coach than Kyle Shanahan.
Well, it's funny because Shanahan's one of those guys where he's come up short a lot, obviously. Like the 49ers have been contenders for years and they have never got it done. So you hear those like rumblings from the fan base. It's like, man, we gotta get a new coach in here. And like that is not it, man. Like he's the reason you are always in this position. And if he's another one of those guys where you would not fire him. You would be trading him for multiple picks because teams would be lining up to get him. So yeah, he's incredible, man. And I can't believe how well Mac Jones is playing with him. It's awesome.
Shocking.
Yeah, everybody knows. I mean, everybody knows this is the worst roster. Obviously, the injuries being the thing, but even with everyone healthy, I think this is one of the worst teams he's had roster-wise in quite some time. They have a lot of underlying issues, and they just keep winning ball games anyway.
Yeah.
Very impressive. All right, boys, good stuff. Now it's time for a little segment called Leaking Oil, presented by Kal Tire. Did you know Kal Tire offers oil changes?
Wow.
Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Well, write that down.
That's
right
amazing.
Now, I want you guys
I
to
need
give
an oil
me,
change.
Yeah, you sure do. If anyone on this panel needs one, it's you. Guys, I want you to give me a team or a player that just isn't running all that great right now, someone or some organization that needs a proverbial oil change, a tweak or an adjustment to get back on track and humming. Wilk, you're up first.
I'm going with the Vikings. I think in general, you look at the record 3-2 heading into the bye week. It doesn't seem that bad. They were able to salvage their trip overseas with a Sunday morning win over the Browns. But man, that game kind of reinforced all the concerns I've had about this team over the last few weeks. The quarterback play just has not been good enough, whether it was J.J. McCarthy over the first 2 games or Carson Wentz over the last 3. The Kevin O'Connell system has not been enough to get the required production out of that group. It's obviously not helping that the offensive line has been a little beat up, but it's not just the offense either. You alluded to it earlier. The Vikings' run defense has fallen off a cliff after last year. I believe they were tied for 6th in defensive rush success rate in 2024. This year so far, they're ranked 23rd. So, I mean, as much chaos as you can create in the pass game with their rush and their disguised coverages, that doesn't matter as much when an opponent can line up and just run the ball down your throat. So maybe they're able to make some adjustments over this bye week and get that oil change that they need. But man, coming out of the bye, I believe they have the Eagles, the Chargers, Lions, and then like Ravens, Packers.
You mentioned
Bears,
this a couple weeks ago.
Seahawks.
Yeah, they were. If they did not win on Sunday morning, which they almost did, they'd have been in some serious trouble.
I mean, honestly,
a good team yet is the thing.
I think they're in serious trouble anyway. Like barring some huge turnaround over the bye week, which I don't really expect based on what we've seen so far. I think that their season could be all but finished by the end of that really challenging stretch.
It's just all about J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
It is all about
They have such a
J.J.
strong
McCarthy.
roster.
Well, that's the thing is that so coming into the season, I asked how long is the leash for JJ, and you said it's pretty darn long.
Oh, it's extreme.
Is it still extremely long?
Now it's even longer.
Yeah?
Carson Wentz has really changed.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
until
don't
they
think
call
Wentz
up
has-
Captain Kirk again.
I don't think Wentz has done anything that would have you believe that the team is like, you know, a contender with him that they aren't with McCarthy. So at that point, it's like you just let McCarthy figure it out. And if he does, then maybe you make a playoff run. And if he doesn't, at least he's getting reps for next year. But yeah, once he's healthy, it's got to be McCarthy.
T, who's leaking oil?
All right. It's time for the AFC West.
Oh, no.
Slopfest. The Chargers. The Chargers are in a horrible place.
Tyler just switched into low power mode.
Tyler talked about before the season. So Justin Herbert's been pressured 57 times in the last 3 weeks since the Broncos game, and then obviously the injury to Joe Alton, the Giants game, and then this past week, the closest guy in terms of pressures over that time is at 48. I believe it's Jalen Hurts. He's been pressured over 43% of his dropbacks. Look, there's other teams in the league that are dealing with injuries. You just mentioned the Vikings. You know, the Packers are another team that are banged up at the offensive line. The Bucs are making it happen with, you know, their reinforcements on their way back, but not completely back. The problem is the guys that are getting hurt on the offensive line and then the replacements for them. I mean, Mekhi Becton was supposed to be one of the top guards available in the offseason. He's managed to take the field for just one full game. And I also just can't stand some of the responses he's had. The first time he was back and he was just too tired to stay on the field long enough for an entire drive and had to sit. The next concussion, fair enough. Missed the game too. He comes back, he hurts his finger, game ends. They ask him in the locker room about the injury. He's like, oh no, we just got to get it taped up properly and then I'll be fine for next week. What do you mean? This is the National Football League. There can't be better trainers in any other sport than football. How about they tape it up properly and you get back on the field? Because I'm watching Austin Deculus give up 3 sacks the last 2 games and 11 pressures. The guy's a walking turnstile. They traded for him during training camp from the Houston Texans. We gave up a conditional 7th-round pick for a 3rd-string left tackle from the Houston Texans. And then there's Trey Pipkins, who has to play hurt. Meanwhile, the Chargers have watched him for 6 seasons be the same thing, a walking turnstile at right tackle. It's like, oh, we'll move him into guard. Same guy. The problem is the only 2 guys left that are healthy and playing are the 2 guys everyone would like to see no longer be on the roster. And that is the fact that Bradley Bozeman is the worst center in the entire league. Zion Johnson has had a better season, but a lot of Chargers fans wanted to see him go. This offensive line is a complete disaster. I don't believe there's a single quarterback in the league that can make anything happen playing behind this offensive line. And then you also have the fact that at the end of the day, 3 of their best players, 5 best players are hurt. And obviously in Slater, Alt, and Mack aren't playing. It's going to hinder any team.
Now Hampton's out the next 4
games. Exactly. Now Hampton's out the next 4 games minimum, and they're going to have the worst run game in the NFL with, Jim Harbaugh's Michigan man, Hassan Haskins, leading the way. They're in a bad place, really bad place, and I don't see much of a light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously, they're going to get healthier, but these issues are going to persist when you have a high ankle sprain for Alt that who knows, maybe he's not the same the rest of the season. That's an injury that can really linger. You're not getting Slater back this year.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head, are there any deadline sellers who would be getting rid of offensive linemen? It's just such a hard thing to trade for in the NFL because no one has offensive linemen, right? So I don't know. I mean, obviously the Jets are winless, but they're not trading any of their young guys on the offensive line. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. They're in trouble.
I would
the
assume
AFC West portion of our podcast is really
you guys are both
struggling.
in dark places right now. At least Wilk has moved on to the acceptance part of the grief cycle, but you're
T-Mac's
you're
in anger.
Still in
He's
anger.
in anger.
You guys remember before the season, I said I didn't think the Chargers were going to have a good year, and they shocked me the first few weeks of the year. But we're kind of back to the point where it's like
But you were all the way. You were all the way charged up. You were at 100% at one point, T-Mac.
I still
3-0, baby.
I still think that I came on here and was extremely level-headed and said,
I think you were.
I don't know. And now we're in pretty much must-win
I'm just
territory
shocked
this week.
that the Chargers, of all teams, slipped on a banana peel and lost to the Jackson Dart-led Giants and followed that up.
Who
with
also
lost
lost
to the Commanders. who lost to the Saints
this week.
Who lost to the Saints. Yeah, this is quite an organization you're running there. They're definitely leaking oil. Zach, close us out. Who else is leaking oil?
Quick oil change story, first of all.
Go.
When I was a young, fledgling stand-up comedian, I really needed a job. So I went and looked on the job postings. I saw a job for an oil change company.
Yeah, don't say who they are.
I'm not going to say who they are, will not say who they are, and this will not shine brightly upon them. I made up a resume full of lies about having all this experience with cars. So I go to the interview, I sit down with the guy, and he's asking me stuff, and I'm like, I got to be honest with you. I have no experience with cars. I lied on my resume. I just really wanted to be here. I think I'm going to do a great job, blah, blah, blah. And he bought it, hired me for the job. I worked there for a month. At the end of the month, he calls me into his office, and he sits down, and he goes, you really know nothing about cars, huh? And I was like, I know nothing. And he's like, you're fired. And I was like, that totally makes sense.
Respect. Lying on your resume is such an essential part of being a working adult. Like, how do you think I got this job?
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And Kal Tire, that's a company that would never hire a scrub
like
me.
you. Absolutely.
And that's why you have to go and get your oil change there. Speaking of oil changes,
boy.
the big dog Derrick Henry is turned into the old dog Derrick Henry, and it's time to get him an oil change. It's the first ever time we've seen a chink in the armor from him. He ran for less than 65 yards only once last year. He's already done it 4 times this year. We obviously saw the fumble problems that were going early on. He still had that one really good game in week one that kind of gives you that bright spot. And he's had a tendency over his career to, once the weather gets cold and the defenses are a little bit beat up, he goes and beats them up a little bit more. But eventually, you need to recognize that he's older. He's the oldest running back in the league right now, basically, who has a prime time spot, a prime position. And it might just be his time. He's a little better when Lamar Jackson in the lineup, but this might be the end of the run for Derrick Henry.
I'm not sure if I buy that just yet because, like you said, we had that week one where he looked incredible, and run after run, you had all of Twitter being like, "I can't believe I get to watch Derrick Henry. This is amazing. Yeah. He's never going to slow down." I don't know that a few bad games are enough for me to go back on that just yet. Mostly because the Ravens overall are a disaster, and especially without Lamar, the offense is obviously a completely different unit. But even when he was there, they had this like weird tendency to just go super pass heavy almost immediately and not stick to the run game when you have Derrick Henry. So I don't really get it. I think that team's kind of a mess now. I would maybe say that the team in general and the offense in particular are leaking oil, but it's definitely worth monitoring because he is getting older, like you said. And it's got to happen at some point.
Guys, this is what he does every year, though.
Yeah.
Every year for the last 5 seasons, I'd say. Early in the year, you're like, is this it? Is it over? And then, teams start to wear down. November comes, December comes, then all of a sudden he's running opponents over which is crazy.
You see like 265 pounds running down your throat.
Yeah, you wouldn't think the end of the year when he'd be at his best because he's not his freshest at his age. But for some reason, by the end of the year, he's still dominant. So
it is notable, though, that usual power that we see from him hasn't quite been there. Like last year, he led the NFL in missed tackles forced as a running back. This year, he's 38th. That is a sizable drop-off. His yards after contact per attempt, it's at the lowest rate since his rookie season. That is notable. And since week 1, he's averaging 3.2 yards per carry. Obviously, to your point, Dan, some of that is intertwined and kind of inextricably tied to their struggles overall as an offense. But, it's hard to be an effective running back at his age and after taking the kind of toll that he's taken throughout his career. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say a big part of what he kind of has always been as a player, he's an early down runner, right? Like as soon as you get into a passing situation, they just take him out of the game. They just go to Justice Hill. So, when you're playing in a game against the Texans that you lose by 40 points or whatever it is, he's just going to be schemed right out of that game overall. So they need to get everything back on track. And man, they're about to be 1-5 if Lamar doesn't play this week. So I'm not sure it's going to happen.
That's actually crazy.
Still favorites to win the division,
which is
That's
crazy.
Also crazy.
Shout out to the Steelers for that one. No one believes in that.
No, absolutely not.
Speaking of things to believe in, it's time to do some investing, isn't it?
Yeah. I have this idea for us. We're gonna call it. I don't know what to call it other than Shark Tank because this is the show that comes on when you might put on. What do you usually maybe on NBC you watch the Sunday Nighter and you forget to turn off the TV and Shark Tank's on. Listen, I love it. I'm a Shark Tank guy.
It's like a hotel show. It's like you're in a hotel. You're like, let me put on Shark Tank.
One. But what I want to do is we're gonna pitch a team that is not currently one of the top teams in terms of Super Bowl odds, and you're going to sell that to Jonah. So we're just going to have a team, one for each of us. And
wow, Jonah's got the notepad
I'm
out?
the shark, baby.
Wow.
You cannot describe the team talking about players or the team themselves. So everything has to be a mystery. It's got to be descriptive words, stats, numbers, whatever you have prepared.
No names, no team names.
Yeah, no team names, no names of players,
Yeah.
nothing obvious that really points out who the team is. Should I set the tone here?
Yeah,
I would love that.
All right, Jonah, just don't pay attention to them. It's you and me. It's me and you.
Just
okay?
imagine me in my underwear, right? Don't be nervous.
What? No.
Don't.
Oh, okay.
Don't do that.
All right. No.
For the
just
people
don't
at
look
home.
at them. I'm the guy selling you.
I'm
right
locked
now, okay?
in.
Shark. I've got a product for you that's built from the inside out. The trenches. That's what matter in the NFL. In the last 6 seasons, 5 of the last 6 teams to win the Super Bowl were top 10 in sack rate. If you're going to win a Super Bowl, you need to get after the quarterback. And this team, they get after the quarterback about as good as anyone in the entire NFL so far this season. They're 8th in sack rate, but 8th in sack rate and pressure rate. But the 7 teams in front of them in pressure rate all blitz the quarterback at a top 15 rate in the NFL. This team, 28th in blitz rate. So that front 4 gets after opposing quarterbacks, and they don't need any help. That's because on one end, top 15 player in pressure rate, or top 15 player, top 15 player in pass rush win rate, and 9th in pressures. And on the other side, 5 sacks, 2nd in the NFL in sacks. So each of these DNs, they eat. They absolutely eat. Now, the other side of things is, Patrick Mahomes, we all know, 3-2 record in Super Bowls. The 2 times he lost, the Bucs, and then this past season against the Eagles. The offensive line, that was the issue. He gave up. He was pressuring over 50% of his dropbacks in those 2 games. He was sacked 9 times. So you got to be in the trenches on the other side, too. This team has struggled so far protecting their quarterback, but last season they were top 10 in pressure rate allowed and sack rate allowed. And now they're going to be getting a starting guard and starting tackle hopefully back this week. So that's going to make things much better. This quarterback, everyone knows he's elite. He's been there. He's done that. But right now he's got 2 of the best weapons he's ever had in his career. The yards after the catch monster in the slot leads the NFL in yards after the catch. And then the outside, you've got a receiver throughout his career has scored double-digit touchdowns multiple times, red zone weapon for this team. The only problem this team had last year and why they weren't a Super Bowl champion last year or considered to be a Super Bowl contender was their run defense. It was awful. It was their downfall. But now, the offseason, they added one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in the entire league. And now, top 10 team in EPA against the run, top 5 in opponent yards per carry. This team is built in the trenches like few others in the entire league, and they're not getting the credit for it quite yet because they don't have that gaudy record that some of these top teams do. But now is the perfect time to buy.
Thank you, Shark. Well delivered.
Wow,
Shark
that
number
was-
2.
That was a good pitch.
I'm curious to hear your.
You're the shark.
It's a little
the-
it's a little nerve-wracking hearing the other pitches in front of you. What am I supposed
That was
to do
compelling.
here,
I'm
you
not
know?
going to lie. He did his dizzle right there.
And he's sitting so close to you. That feels like an unfair advantage.
It felt intimate.
The way that
almost.
he just like blocks all of us off,
Exactly.
too.
Yeah, no,
like,
that was the thought. That was the thought.
That was
All right, Sit
brutal.
back for a second. Sit back.
All right, hit me.
Hello, Shark. So I have a really unique investment opportunity for you. I'm going to start on the defensive side of the ball because, as we know, defense wins championships. Going back to last year, this was, I believe, in the second half of the season, a top 3 defense by EPA per play. So expectations were high. 5 games in, I think it's safe to say that they're right on track toward meeting those expectations. Right now, this team is tied for the best run defense in the league by EPA per rush. The pass defense has not quite put up the same metrics, but I chalk a lot of that up to a few key injuries in the secondary, which are not long-term. I think when those guys get back and are doing their thing under someone who I would say is the best defensive mind in all of football without naming any names, I think that this team is going to live up to all the expectations that we had for it heading in on defense. Offense, I don't think anyone really knew what to expect here, but through 5 games, I think we're off to a spectacular start, and I would say it's safe to say this may only be the beginning. We have a top 8 offense by EPA per play, led by a quarterback who is playing the best football of his career by far, currently second by EPA per dropback. We have a superstar receiver, the only guy in the league who is joining Puka Nacua with over 500 yards receiving already. And we have a running back, one of the most explosive runners in the league, 4.9 yards per carry, and leading the entire NFL in rushes of 20-plus yards. And Jonah, I know that you are a results-based guy. You want to see how this works. You want to see it in practice, not just in theory. Well, let me tell you that this team is right in the thick of the playoff race right now. Again, we're not going to give away too much here. Right in the thick of the playoff race, and they have 2 losses on the season that were narrow defeats to 2 teams that are both 4-1. I think that this is the time to buy in while you can, because a few weeks from now, they might be in that top 5 in Super Bowl odds.
Oh, pretty strong pitch.
Wow.
Pretty strong pitch.
All right.
Zachy, the bar has
brutal.
been set very
This is
high.
brutal.
You're the farthest away, too.
Sell me.
Tough.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you see me over there?
I can see you.
Okay, all right.
Handsome as ever. But that's not going to help you in this particular endeavor.
Hello, Shark.
Thanks for coming in.
You look incredibly handsome today. I don't know if I.
Okay, it is going to help you. Flattery will get you everywhere, baby.
How about those Blue Jays? Am I right? Wow, they are playing good baseball. All right, Jonah. You know, I've got an investment opportunity for you here. I'm really excited about it. All I'm here to do is make you as much money as possible. Okay, I'm willing to give you as much percentage as you want. We'll work out a really good deal here. I'm instantly interested in undercutting whatever kind of deals that these guys are giving to you. How about this? You know, winning Super Bowls, that's a good thing,
That's
right?
what I'm interested in. That's why I'm
Okay.
here.
What about, can I interest you in a head coach who has 3 Super Bowl rings sitting at home? Is that something that would interest you, Jonah?
Sure.
All right. What about a defense led by many men who go home and admire their Super Bowl rings when they go to sleep at night? How does that feel? That
Defense
feels
wins
good, right?
championships.
What about a first overall pick at quarterback? A first overall pick who ended a 17-year playoff drought for an NFL franchise. That's pretty good too, right? Mm-hmm. What about one of the best triumphant receivers in the NFL, including a fantasy darling who is going to be headlining lists for the entire offseason, and next year they're going to be looking for this kind of player when they go and find him. How about a guy waiting on the sidelines who's about to get, they could start fitting him for his gold Hall of Fame jacket right now. How do those things sound, Jonah?
Lot of strong pedigree in this organization.
And also, guess what? You know, we talk about defense wins championships. Oh, that's all great. You got to be able to score some points to win a Super Bowl.
Got to score points.
When's the 2000 Ravens? That was like 25 years ago. That doesn't exist in the NFL
The
anymore.
Bucs team that defeated the Raiders. Wow. defense first
Come
team.
on.
Anyways,
Come
continue.
on.
Carry on.
All right. Okay. All right. You got me a little flustered. I didn't. You're
gotta
letting
get
everybody
prepared
else
when you're
go,
dealing with the
and you're throwing
Sharks,
me off in the
baby.
middle. Okay. You're still very handsome. All right. I still. How about this? The longest active streak of 20 of scoring 20 plus points in a game in the NFL. Do you like that, Jonah?
Love scoring points.
This team is an offensive juggernaut. They are on the upswing in such a way that by the end of the season, they will be sweeping the nation. They have some beautiful uniforms too. So even when they do win the Super Bowl, they're going to look amazing doing it. They've done it before. Jonah, I need you right now to invest in this team, dismiss the other guys. What do you think?
Gentlemen,
Don't make a decision right
I want
now.
to thank
Whoa.
all of you for coming in today. And I've thought long and hard about it for the last 8 seconds since I started this sentence. And here's what I'll say.
Not a lot of notes for Zach.
I am ready to immediately say no, be a hard no to one of our pitchmen.
Oh my
do
gosh.
you have any idea who these teams are?
Uh,
Do you think you know? You can say, do you think you know? How many of these do you think you know the
I
team
don't
is?
think that I could correctly guess these teams without giving it a good hard think that we don't have time for on a
We're going to tell you who they are. We're
You know,
going to tell you who they
people are listening on Spotify right now. They can't have 20 minutes of dead air. So here's what I'll say: the first pitch that is going to be eliminated belongs to Mr. Zak McDonald. Zach, I
You hate to
appreciated
see
the
it.
spirit you
Come
brought. I appreciated
on.
the flattery. It sounded like you were leaning a lot on pedigree. It's all well and good that your head coach has 3 rings. What does that do for me today? It's great that your quarterback went first overall. The fact that you're invoking his draft position as opposed to his numbers, a little bit troubling. Future Hall of Famer, that's not doing a lot for me today,
All right.
winning me championships today. Sadly, I'm out.
Wow. It was a lot of fake pedigree anyway. So.
That's all it is. If you had the numbers, you'd be listing the numbers. All right, so it comes down to my man T or my man Wilk. Both very, very strong pitches. T, I like the way that you were stressing how built from within, how structurally sound your team is, built in the trenches, the high pressure rate, defensively, the O-line being top 10 in pressure rate allowed last season, elite quarterback, I'm enjoying that. Run defense has improved, okay? And then Wilk, I thought you also did a really good job outlining a very complete team on both sides of the ball. But at the end of the day, the investor who is getting my money, who's getting my buy-in, is Dan Wilkins.
Wow.
I'm in. Who did I just invest in?
Okay.
You just invested in the Seattle Seahawks,
All
my
right.
friend.
All
I can
right.
live with that. Legion of Boom, baby. LOB. Who
Do you
was
have,
your
do you have any
team?
guesses on Zach's or mine?
Zach, I feel like yours is like...
Ooh, I thought you would know this right off the hop.
Is yours the Bucs?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the Bucs.
okay.
It's the Bucs.
Yeah.
Any guess?
Todd
who you
Bowles
think
won
mine is?
won a Super Bowl as a head coach, a player, and he was a personnel guy
was
for the
wondering-
He was
Packers.
assistant to the
Yeah,
traveling
yeah,
secretary.
I knew what your team is, and those 3 Super Bowl rings, I was like, he better not fall for this.
Yeah. I like it definitely in the moment I wasn't necessarily clocking that it was the
Yeah,
Bucs, but I was like,
yeah.
there's this
Yeah, when you
sounds
said
like
the
it could be
first
Tampa
overall
Bay.
pick thing, I thought you.
And do you know
Yeah.
cheese?
Team I've loved all. They're in my. I predicted.
Is
they win the
it?
Super Bowl.
No, it can't be this. No.
Who are you thinking?
Elite quarterback? No, I thought maybe Jacksonville, but no. Who is it?
The Rams.
The Rams. Nice.
Yeah, the Rams.
You know
yeah,
what?
They've got some injuries.
That's a good pick.
That job well done to all 3 of our pitchmen. Very impressed. I appreciate you coming before me. Wilk, congratulations. But gentlemen,
Great job.
no shame in being beaten by Wilk. You know, he's done this before. Very impressive.
He
stuff.
sold the mid Seahawks team really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You really did.
My team beat the Seahawks
How
last
much do I
week.
get up front as part of this investment?
We'll see.
What would you like?
Let me do my due diligence, and then I still reserve the right to back out. Chance, that was a lot of fun. That was great. Before we go home, let's look ahead to Week 6 and revisit the theme that I kind of outlined off the top of this show: strong teams, presumptive contenders that are scuffling at the moment. So, heading into Week 6, which recently humbled contender needs a win the most? Dan, you're up first.
It's the Chiefs. I mean, I'm not going to be worried about them even if they lose because it's the Chiefs, but they're 2-3 right now, and with the Lions up next, they might be 2-4, which is pretty crazy to think about. That would be a long road back to the division title. I guess what T said earlier about the Chargers would make that a little bit easier, but man, that is not where anyone thought that this team would be after 6 games. So this is going to be a big one on Sunday night. I think it's got legitimate game of the year potential.
Yeah, it's a good match. I'm interested in the matchup. Detroit's secondary taking care of business because they've been great. They've just been all around fantastic this year, Detroit, since week 1.
Gee, speaking of Detroit, or no.
No,
that's not where we're going. What am I talking about?
I'm taking the most
I'm still
obvious.
rattled from the investing, man. My adrenaline's pumping. It's through the roof. Who you got?
Speaking of Detroit, they have 2 games on the schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
This week.
The Tigers are playing. Anyways,
Yeah. I am taking the most obvious. It's the Chargers. Like, you've got the Dolphins, been one of the worst teams in the league so far this season. You desperately need to find wins where they're easy before the schedule gets any tougher, because it gets tougher at the end of the later in the year, and hopefully you'll be healthier by then. But we got to squeak out a win or two while this roster is in a bad place, and Miami's a team that gives you as good a chance as anyone in the league right now.
Did you just use 2 different segments to talk about the Chargers?
Sure
I know,
did.
but they're just so obvious. Like you're leaking oil, and
I
this
at
is a
least
chance
kept
to,
my Raiders rant to one
I know,
segment.
yeah.
Come on.
No more.
get it together. Also, I mean, it's you squeeze them into a humbled contender. Are they a contender? I don't know.
A lot of people thought that. Yeah,
Right.
that's true. Maybe they're not a contender. You're right.
Anyways, you got it in. You squeaked it in. Congratulations, Zachy. Which humbled contender needs a win?
I have the team that we just invested in, the Seattle Seahawks versus the Jaguars. Just kind of because they lost a game to a really good team last week, but I think you just kind of want to see them actually come out and win a game against a good team, and I think the Jags are a really good team. Also, side note, the Seahawks are so much more watchable in the throwback uniforms than they are in their
Beautiful.
trash
So good.
current uniforms that need to go immediately. Really interested in Mike McDonald versus Liam Cohen to see how they scheme against each other. Liam Cohen, I think, has been really impressive. So I think this will be a really good kind of show me game for the Seahawks. And it's about time where you're starting to fight for playoff seeding, for getting into those playoff spots, and you need to find wins on the schedule, and I think they need to find a win here.
Every time I'm ready to be out on Kenneth Walker because I just can't handle how banged up he consistently is, he then looks 100% healthy, and he looked so good on Sunday. And they play so much Zach Charbonnet, who was fine, but I just wish Walker would get a little bit of a longer leash, especially in the fourth quarter. I thought he should have been on the field a little bit more, but man, when he's going, he looks untackleable. So I'm excited for the matchup with Jacksonville.
Those are my boys. My beloved Seahawks. Put all of my fake capital, all my real emotional capital.
You got to come with the
in there now.
Seahawks sweater next week.
Yeah, exactly. I was ordering it actually while you guys were yammering on there. Anyways, no more yammering. That'll do it for today's episode of No Timeouts. It was presented by Kal Tire, Canada's destination for Nokian tires. Once again, that's Zak McDonald, that's Dan Wilkins, that's Tyler MacKillop. My name's Jonah Birenbaum. We'll see you next time.